So what did you see as the main reason for this loss, and what can be done, going forward to fix it?
So previously before the game, I gave my keys to the victory on Sunday, and
Mhm.
one of my things was this: turnovers, the turnover battles. As I was looking over the league leaders and like turnover differential, the Eagles were number one with 11. Right, we all know at the time, I think they were 5-0 at the time, and we was only +1 in that department. And I was like, ooh, we have a a low margin for error, but our defense is like a top level defense. And
Mhm.
so I was looking over the stats and I saw that, man, they run the ball really well. I think they average 168 yards rushing per game coming into that. And as we know, our defensive line was in shambles. And so one thing I knew was like, man, if our turnover ratio is off, our margin for error is so tiny that this could be a very, very big issue. And as we saw, they pounded the ball down our throats. And I thought that was like the number one reason why we got into a lot of issues, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean you're spot on. Like I mean, it was just they did to us what we normally do to other teams, and it's crazy because I named this show, uh, that the 49ers need to find their identity. Like I see their identity. It seems every season this team kind of loses their identity, and then they find it like almost halfway through the season, and then they go on a run. I'm just, but I hate. I wish that we got such good players on this team that I wish that for once Kyle would just establish his identity and just go with it and make people beat your identity.
Question
And
though.
yes, you might lose some games.
Got a
Yeah,
question. Do you
yeah.
think we have one identity, and one of our issues is that we might not have multiple ways to do certain things because we only do have one true identity, which is what we know, like running the ball, time of possession, and low turnovers?
I mean that's a great question, but I would say that this team has, and you're right. Like they probably should have multiple ways to beat other teams, but I think for the quarterback that we have currently, we have to trust in the way that wins with him, and which is they need to run the ball. I don't care how you do it, but you cannot have Jimmy Garoppolo throwing the ball 41 times and and our running backs only getting the ball, like I think they only got the ball 14 times.
Yeah, it was like 16 rushes or something like
Yeah,
that, 50 yards.
that's not a recipe for success with this team. Now, other teams like the Bills, they could get away with throwing the ball 63 times and
Yeah,
pull out a victory. That is not our team. And the 49ers, but it almost makes it worse because of Kyle's propensity to like only trust in certain pieces on the team. And so we got these running backs. We got Jeff Wilson and we've got Tevin Coleman that just got back on the team. But because he's been with Kyle in his system, he trusts them more than a
yeah.
TDP and a Jordan Mason. I think that is the main issue. I think that Kyle just is so slow to trust that it's not about your trust. Just get the talent in there. Let the chips fall where they may. You brought these guys in. You brought them in because you thought they have talent,
Yeah.
and that's where I go with the game yesterday. Is I feel like Kyle doesn't use his talent in the right manner.